another I'm too chipper in the morning day of Bhagavad Gita Sadhana, or at least that's what I've been told by a certain someone. It is great to have you back as we continue our look at Samatvam for the whole year, but specifically right now, how exactly can we achieve Samatvam, this equilibrium, this state of just being ourselves all the time, even in the morning when I'm so darn chipper. And we're going to revisit the verse from yesterday, chapter 2, verse 56. I'll use the poetic version. When one's mind is not vexed by pain, one does not crave pleasure. One's fear, attraction, and anger are gone. One is a steady-minded sage. So we've been talking about Samatvam meaning being essentially yourself. And if we look at other things the Bhagavad Gita is saying consistently throughout its text, it's that the self that's in here is the same as the self in everyone or everything. Like these marigolds that I'm not sure what the heck it is, but it's flowering plant, the table, it's all the same. So that yesterday, and thank you to those of you who were so nice about me having a migraine, and it was very painful. However, we talked about being the same in pain and not craving pleasure. And that was not about hurting oneself, but just the idea that pain is there for a reason. And if we try to cover it up without getting to the root of it or without experiencing it, then in the long run, it's just going to stay there. We're not going to be able to resolve it. Something I've said for a few days now, subtly or not so subtly, is this idea that we have to be able to take what's inside and apply it outside and vice versa, what's outside and apply it inside. So for example, yesterday, it's sometimes hard for people to know I'm in a lot of pain because I just try to be the same cheery in the morning, me, that I always am. I might look a little different, like I'm cheery, but I'm still trying to be just the same way. Doesn't do me any good to make you suffer. But on the other hand, then people sometimes don't take the suffering seriously if it's not really grabbing your attention. We can see this in a lot of people in the West who let medical conditions go and go and go and go and go and go. And then finally go to the doctor. It's like, too late, or, well, I wasn't suffering that much, so I thought I could just keep going with it. But we can also look at this outside of ourselves, because our inability to sit with our own discomfort really comes into our face when somebody around us in our orbit is uncomfortable. It could be a close friend, it could be a stranger on the street. But if we can't be with our own pain, we can't understand others' own pain. And that can be the source of a lot of hatred between people who've never met each other. We can't see their suffering. Maybe a group of people who's been suffering immensely has learned to put on a happy face about that, or to just fit into society as best they can. And it doesn't do them any good to share their pain, because other people are avoiding their own pain and other people don't want to hear about their pain. So what we need to learn to do, if we want to heal the pains of society and interpersonal relationships, is we have to be able to notice it and sit with it again without craving the pleasure of covering it up. Being with somebody and able to talk to them about what's really going on in the world, and not thinking to yourself, wow, what a downer, we better switch it to something happier. We even do this with babies that are crying sometimes. Stop the crying. And I know babies cry and cry, but what do we do? How can we be with that? Because when we can't be with even a little baby crying, that leads to all kinds of problems. It could lead to abuse, for example, or shaken baby syndrome. And when one's fear, attraction, and anger are gone, not just with oneself related to the world, but with oneself related to others? Can we get over our fear of others? Not our caution. Caution can be good, but ungrounded fear, not so much. Our attraction and our anger, can we get over that? It's just bringing to mind, I was riding my bicycle recently home from a class I was teaching, and this young man with a huge dog was kind of standing in front of the place where I needed to ride my bicycle. And he wasn't paying that much attention, and different skin color than I was. And I kind of came up on him, and he jumped back a little. I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. That's a big dog you're managing. And I saw he had a Dragon Ball Z sweatshirt on, and I recognized his discomfort. I could be with it because I was a little uncomfortable with that big dog right there too. But said something about, I really like your sweatshirt. I love Dragon Ball Z. And you just seen him light up. So it wasn't the fact of, oh gosh, I'm making him uncomfortable. He's making me uncomfortable. Let's ignore it. How can we get beyond it? And it, it's not the same as covering up with pleasure, but it's a connection, soul to soul. I mean, yeah. And then the light changed and I went on my way. He went on his way. But this idea of seeing that, he's uncomfortable, he's scared with the dog, he thinks I'm going to get mad at him. I can be with that. And I understand too. I don't know if I'm explaining this well. Maybe it's something that's better put into practice. So let's go practice, shall we? As we try to maintain our own balance, can we reflect upon the imbalances of the world around us and how doing a physical pose can actually help us relate to other beings? Let's find out. Hello, other being. Switch. All right, so let's sit. Yesterday, I invited you to sit with your own discomfort, something bothering you, just to be with it without covering it up. Notice if you had any insights. Today, I invite you to notice any pain in the world and sit with it. And at this time, I'll note that I'm dedicating my practice today to all the oceans of the world. It's World Oceans Day. Maybe environmental discomfort comes to mind, but whatever it is, let's contemplate it for 5. Welcome back. How did it go? So just being out here, having fasted, like whole days without water even, I suddenly became aware of the potential suffering of my little plants here. It's supposed to be a very sunny day. They're in pots. Didn't rain much last evening. They're thirsty. I'm going to go take care of that. I'm going to connect to their thirst and see how I feel in relieving it. My flowers make a different smell when they're happy. I don't know if you've noticed that about your smile or your flowers. May you be happy today, not because there's an absence of pain in your life, but because you're able to be with it, learn from it, and use that to become ever more compassionate and connected to the world around you. I hope we get to connect again tomorrow. Oh, and remember the free meditation, June 25th, 6 p.m. on Lake Erie. See you then or see you tomorrow.